Good morning. Welcome to this informative webinar on regulatory procedure management for our for product lifecycle management. And we're going to be talking about the first rollout of this system on EMA's IRIS platform. My name is Jos Wiemer. I'm change management lead. I'll be doing the opening. I'll be helping you with the questions. And indeed, we have our product owners and SMEs to take you through the content. One housekeeping note is that we will be recording this session to make it available to you and your peers after this webinar. So by staying in this call, indeed you consent also indeed to being recorded. Now over to the agenda. Actually, so first, sorry, just to onto the Slido for the next slide, Simona. Oh. We have we have the welcome from me. Then we'll talk a little bit about regulatory procedure management for PLM. That will be with Madalena Dutamara, the product owner for regulatory procedure management. Then Madalena will also say a little bit about the roadmap and how we came to the product selection for this initial rollout. The objectives and key changes will be covered by Sara Santos, one of the subject matter experts on the team. The first rollout impact on pharmaceutical companies will also be covered by Sara. We will Simona Kinyene will be talking about some of the ongoing work for RPM, and we'll also have a demo to show. Simona will also cover the next steps, and then we have time for Q&A before we head to closing nice and on time at 11:30. Now about the Q&A, that we will be doing through Slido, as you may be used to from us. You can navigate to slido.com and put in that hash code 4183981, or indeed you can scan the QR code on your phone. After the screen, you will find the Slido code, that 4183981, at the bottom of every slide. So if you ever get lost, you can indeed go there. So that's where we will have questions. We will probably combine answering in writing as well as indeed verbally during the Q&A. And we'll do our best to share that afterwards as well. And towards the end of the session, we'll have a short poll. So we'd like to ask your attention for that as well. So with that, I'd like to hand over to Madalena to get us started.
Good morning. I hope you can hear me well. And thank you for joining this webinar. We are really pleased and thrilled to see the number of attendees. My name is Madalena Dutamare. I'm product owner for regulatory procedures implementation in IRIS for product lifecycle management at the European Medicines Agency. This session is meant to bring information on the latest developments in IRIS, as from November, the EMA will roll out IRIS lifecycle management for around 110 selected veterinary and human centrally authorized products, which will have a simple lifecycle running variations, Article 61.3 notification and marketing authorization transfer procedures as applicable for each domain, which we will explain further in the next slides. We started on IRIS as IRIS has been chosen as case management platform across the agency, and the development already started in 2018 with a stage 1 aim to learn the system capabilities and potential suitability. IRIS back then onboarded relatively standalone procedures with minimal dependencies on other systems. In the meantime, the complexity has increased. We are in stage 2. Today, we are only talking about the procedures for lifecycle management of the product. Of course, you may be familiar with other processes as well. So those are still on in IRIS, and the expansion continues. However, we are focusing today on procedures of the lifecycle management, such as variations, Article 61.3, transfers, and so on. And as mentioned, currently we are in this stage 2. We are moving connected procedures in IRIS in a controlled manner to create a system which is ready for the new pharma legislation. So as part of the purpose of this presentation, we are, as you can see in this stage. The next stage will, however, mean that EMA's purpose to move its most important or all of its processes in IRIS has been completed, and we will continue with to address enhancements and further integration. Why we are doing this is to have a controlled transition. EMA has quite a large number of different processes and procedures run in different systems and with different stakeholders. So in order to have a controlled transitions, we are we would like to enable a gradual learning curve and evolve with the user's feedback to allow learning about the real life environment and dependencies using reduced number of products. So as you may have realized, 110 products are under less than 10% of the agency authorized products we are working on currently. But this approach will enable incremental migration of procedural data starting from products with lower regulatory complexity. So everything will become a little bit more clear while we go through the presentation. To follow these principles mentioned before, we will onboard already authorized products to have a predictability on the life cycle composition and to ensure a controlled transition of EMA's activities in IRIS. You see here that we didn't start with, for example, marketing authorization applications, because those are the fewer submitted procedures, so it's they don't count for EMA's a major workload. However, implementing first a marketing authorization application would mean that a full suite of life cycle procedures should be ready, and that's that will block a transition in a staged way, to say so. Is explained where the PSUR pumps, so post-authorization measures and other procedure lay and the timelines. So first I will explain the terminology used on this roadmap. Probably many of you are not familiar with the concept of EPIC. In this slide, by EPIC, we mean a boxed number of procedures that will deliver functionalities for the end user. So in this context, the stakeholders are the EMA regulatory, European regulatory network, and the industry. In EPIC 1, the first box up there, we are developing since 2022 already variations, Article 61.3 notifications and marketing authorization transfers. In this a portion of work, we have also developed the whole structure of case management to transition from current system to allow transition from current system to IRIS. Testing took already place throughout the development. So we started around 18 months ago, testing every 2 weeks or more often, develop functionalities. However, there will be an end-to-end user acceptance testing scheduled for beginning of October to confirm the system readiness. This testing will be performed by internal change enablers at the European Medicines Agency and external industry network subject matter experts. Provided that the UAT does not reveal major or blocking issues, the rollout is scheduled for November, including a small subset of 70 human products and 38 veterinary products. These are the proposed products. After each epic, maintenance and improvements are scheduled to enhance the system. And in the next phase, starting with Q4 this year, the earliest, we will start development of the next procedures, which are PSURs and post-authorization measures, scheduled for go live in Q2 2024. Further, the timeline, of course, it becomes more and more blurry. However, to enable the full transition of existing product lifecycle and onboarding of new products, we would need to include further epics to finalize development of remaining procedures, which are part of the product lifecycle management. This strategy will facilitate the transition of EMA's greatest workload, which is on approved centralized procedures. So as you can see, we start with the post-approval lifecycle and will end up with the marketing authorization application in order to avoid bottlenecks in transitioning. In the next slide, we have, in more practical terms, the first rollout schedule and an explanation of the product selection. So in practice, for the first transition to IRIS, regulatory procedures have selected first a subset of 70 human and 38 veterinary products, centralized products. So just to clarify, we are talking about centralized products in this session today. These are mainly generics because they have a very simple life cycle and will allow us to run a full product life cycle, so full transition of the life cycle of these products in IRIS. The selection went around predictive life cycle activity, we ended up with generics because they have a very simple life cycle, most of them. Following this selection, we had internal announcements and info sessions to confirm these products, and requested already the submission plans from the impacted marketing authorization holders who have been contacted to confirm the criteria we established. This list will be confirmed following the full feedback from the marketing authorization holders when we will review the submission plans and confirm the final number and selection of products for the first rollout. On the left part of the slide, it's a more visual depiction of the strategy in order to, well, for everyone to understand how the transition will take place on EMA's side. This also will explain the limitations we have and why we can't fully transition everything at once. Of course, that is also based on the strategy I've mentioned before, to have a controlled transition to minimize risks, depending on moving to a new system. So we are in the very top part of the image at the 10% transition of products in IRIS. This is the most development and effort intense part, where we develop the backbone of the case management. And the first three procedures, which will only allow management of a very small number of products. However, with next epics, the more products, the more procedures we are developed, the more products and more complex products are enabled for lifecycle management in Iris. Once we have all the processes ready, they will enable a full life cycle and full transition of all EMA products on the platform. So with this, the more theoretical part is ending from my end. In the next slides, my colleague Sarah will explain the benefits, changes, and practical impacts for industry stakeholders. And further on, Simona will show the concrete looks and functionalities for industry, because we are expecting, well, we will provide improved functionalities and visibility of the procedures on industry portal in a similar way you may be used for other processes onboarded in Iris, and this is something major and a great improvement for our industry stakeholders. Thank you from my end. And Sarah, please go ahead explaining the objectives, changes, and impacts. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Madalina. Good morning, everyone. So I would like to walk you through a bit about our key objectives with this project. So our end goal really with regulatory procedure management is to achieve a way of working for us at DMA and also for the rest of the European regulatory network that it's fit for purpose. So we have to move towards a way of working that it's data-driven, that really looks into the end-to-end process of all our procedures and looks into optimizing efficiency, to optimizing resources, and that is modern, that's and adaptable and flexible to our needs and our future needs. So we can see that this what we aim to achieve can be based in 5 big blocks. So we want to have one single portal to manage our regulatory procedures, so data is brought together under just one platform, and there's no need to, work in different platforms to learn to maintain them. So we're going to have at the end a more streamlined process for information exchange. We also want to save time spent working in our procedures with better visibility on the procedure data for all parties involved. And we're aiming for a user-friendly interface with a consistent process across all procedures. Also, in the last block, we want to have a better security in terms of access and in terms of information. Next slide, please. So here for the key changes, so we want to move towards a new cloud-based technology, so Iris, with a more user-friendly interface, so we can have easier, faster, and more secure access to a single source of information. We realize that currently we're working with too many different platforms with no integration of information and little possibility for automation and flexibility. So we want to move towards something that's more adaptable to what we need. So in this platform, we also are able to harmonize our processes to follow all our product lifecycle procedures with standardized functionalities, both for human and veterinary domains. So one thing we're trying to do is really to also harmonize how we work for human and veterinary products instead of having to work in silos with difficult communication between all parties. We also are aiming to reduce the duplication of work and manual input into the systems. We're working now with a platform that allows us for more automation with more integration, and it's just one single reliable system. We're also aiming to achieve a better visibility of the case status and the case details, so case information through the the IRIS portal, both industry portal, network portal, and our case management system, with the visibility for all parties involved, so stakeholders such as industry, the network, and the commission, and with real-time updates on this information, instead of having separated information sent to all different parties, and again in a very convoluted way of working and collaborating. And then we're also aiming to improve security in data management, and we realize that our processes in terms of security are getting outdated, and so again there is a need to improve. So we are always up to date in terms of our security, in terms of commercially confidential information or personal data. Next slide, please. So again, I want to give you a little more information on, in a deeper dive, let's say, into what is going to be the impact for the pharmaceutical companies who will be participating in the first rollout, so the first setup of products. So maybe see on the next slide. So first, so I want to give you a little information about, again, what is changing and what is not. So for the first point, and this is the biggest chunk of work for industry, so the submission process will remain pretty much the same. So the dossier is still to be submitted by the ECTD or the gateway. So in this way, the process is not changing. Also at the EMA side, after we receive the submission, we will create the case. So again, nothing new for industry. And then the biggest changes are in my next point. So once we create the case, we will have the marketing authorization holder contact person associated to the procedure, and then this contact will be able to access the case to the IRIS industry portal as a manager. And then as a manager, you'll be able to also add contributors to the case and to change the contact person for the procedure, which in the system we refer to as a portal contact. So you no longer have to contact the EMA or submit letters of authorization in order to do this change of contacts. And again, with improved security, only people with the correct granted access can see the information on the case. And this is the big advantage, that you will be able to manage this ourselves without our input. So also with access to the IRIS industry portal, you will also have a better visibility in the case. So once the case is exposed to the portal, and for example, for more complex procedures such as type 2 variations or VRAs for the veterinary products, the procedure will show in the portal once it's under validation. And then from then on, you'll be able to follow it until its closure with real-time information and access to the procedure details, the outcomes, and the procedural documentation. So in a way, before you had to wait for our communication, and now we're moving towards a process where you, at any time, you can consult. You can go to the industry portal and you can consult the status of your procedure. You can consult your details, or if any documentation has been shared with you. So another difference is that through the portal, you'll be able to securely send documents to the EMA without having to create a separate UDRA link. This applies for documents which fall outside of what needs to be sent through the ECTD or the VNIS. So for example, if you have some product information changes during the procedure, you need to send them. Usually you send them through the UDRA link. Now you'll be able to send them through the industry portal straight to us at the EMA. It's also important to retain that we're moving away from having attachments in our communications, and the same applies to industry. So we're moving away from sending communication with documents attached or with UDRA links, and we're moving towards having links in our communication where the needed information is located, and also by submitting the documents in the portal. So again, as you have an area where you can submit your documents, your working documents from the portal, you also have another section where you receive the documents from our side. So you have your assessment reports, your outcomes, your opinions in this area. So I think this is the biggest advantage for industry regarding this new process, is that really you're having much better visibility on what's happening with your case, and again with real-time updates on the data. So I guess now I will pass the floor to my colleague Simona for the demo, where I guess what I've been telling you can be shown. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Sarah. Good morning, everyone. I will guide you, try to illustrate what just my colleague Sarah mentioned you, how it will look like from your side once connected. Just I will start sharing the portal view. Yes, I hope you can see me. So this is the landing page of the Public Iris portal, where everyone can have access for different kind of guidance information and other information what is available in Iris. After signing in to the button in blue, you will be taken to the cases. Just maybe briefly to introduce, as Sarah already mentioned, that the submission remains the same. So after submitting all the dossier, after technical validation, the EMA will create the case on our system. After a certain point, it will be exposed to the managers who are assigned as a contact points for EMA for post-authorization procedures. So those persons who are assigned to the products and procedure will be able to access and to see this type of information, where you see all the list of cases for which you have access. And as it's also very good improvement that you are allowed to add as many managers as you wish, that you can have more colleagues helping you with this procedure. And this shows how you can add an additional manager who has been granted by organization the right to have access to this case. So in this case, now I'm adding my colleague Caroline, that she could follow the case and all the information and documentation on this procedure. In addition, if I would like to go on holidays and I would like that Caroline will become or any other colleague will become as a main contact person for all emails from EMA, for all notifications that we send, I just easily can go and change Caroline's name to become a portal contact for this case. And this being automatically updated within the system, EMA keeps this information automatically, and anything that we would like to send on this case, it will go to the new contact person. And once you are back, you would like to take over all the communications, so then you can do the same steps, just changing the portal contact point. Now, under the View Edit Submissions, you can see more details on this procedure. So we are showing you the information on the procedure, what is the status, some additional info as well as a procedure type. The timetables will be exposed here as well, where the timetables will be updated as live, and if we include anything or we added a different date, so it will be automatically dynamically updated on your side. As well, this is, you can see the information on the authorization products and package products included in this procedure. In addition, all the resources which are working on this procedure, including rapporteurs and EMA staff. So this gives you some additional information on your case. In addition, as well, this is what Sarah mentioned, that all our communication now will exclude attachments and documents in the emails for the security and safety reason. And this is where you can, after receiving a notification or certain email from EMA that we reached some kind of milestones on the procedure, or there is a document for you to read. So this is why you access all the documents from EMA. Clicking on this link, you will see the documents uploaded by Emma, which you can easily access. And in addition, another folder, documents from applicant, is where you will upload the documents which are necessary for this procedure. And after receiving the certain notification, EMA will go and read those documents. So this is just shows how easily the documents can be uploaded from your side. Just you can select multiple documents as well, adding a files, confirming that these are the documents that you would like to submit to EMA, and clicking on the button, it automatically sends a notification to the case responsible person that there is something new uploaded from the company for us to go to read and to share with the rapporteurs. As well, from the portal, you can easily, if there is a case, to withdraw the submission. Going to the submission details, there is a field where you should put a withdrawal reason. And after providing the withdrawal reason, this is just demonstrating how it can be easily done. You just save the form, and after some additional clicks that you would like to submit with withdrawal request to EMA, the information will reach again the person who is responsible for the case on EMA side, that the company would like to withdraw this application. The withdrawal reason will be automatically exposed also on EMA side. And you can see that here, once you submit it, your step status changed to withdrawal requested. So this is where you know that now your case is in EMA's hands, and that confirmation for this withdrawal is awaited. And just also to add that once EMA will consider your case and confirms the withdrawal, you will receive a certain also email or notification, and your case status will be changed to completed withdrawn, and you will find this submission, this procedure under completed submissions list. This is where you can see, and here you also will find all other finalized cases as opinion has been issued for one or another procedure. And yeah, this is the quite simple to use, user-friendly portal for you to submit and to communicate within EMA. This will allow also to eliminate some emails which were necessary to send and to inform, and in addition for you to keep emails of the persons who are working on the case. So this is just a portal links and portal functionalities which allows you independently to submit a certain information, to follow the status, and just for more information on all different accesses and roles, as I illustrated and showed you the manager's roles, etc., you can find here on the side under the guidance documents. So this is it from my side on the demonstration, and I will move back to the presentation now. Yes, and going to the next slides, which will show you the next steps, what we are planning to do. So for all interested marketing authorization holders, this is today's public system demo is one, and then there will be another one organized on the 21st of September. Then in November, we will announce the rollout of our first set of procedures. The public webinar will be also organized in November, and we'll open question answer clinics in November as well. For the companies with a product selected and involved in this first rollout, the confirmation of product selection will be issued in September. User guide publication October is also planned. It's also very important that we provide with all the information what is necessary for you to start using the new system or to continue with new procedures within the system that you are already familiar with. And in October, we plan to confirm the date for the first rollout and to organize the training sessions indeed. So this is the picture of our next steps for all industries, and this specifically for the companies involved in the first rollout. And now I will give back to my colleague Joris. The next slides. Thank you.
Yes. So I've seen that in Slido the questions have been flowing in, and we'll have a look at what's been coming in. Notes that in Slido, those of you that are already indeed familiar with it, you can ask your own question. You can also see live what questions have already been asked, and you can upvote those, because we will start going down the questions indeed from top to bottom. Go. So the top question is the transfer to Iris only affecting CAPS, or will NAPS be integrated in the future as well? I'm noticing we need a few questions around this, and if there's indeed colleagues can cut in, but I can say indeed that no, Iris will indeed only affect CAPS. Iris is the EMA platform for handling procedures with EMA, and indeed the so it will not, at least for the foreseeable future, need cover NAPS, or are there any plans for it to cover NAPS? It may be helpful to point out at this point that aside from the Iris portal, we also have the PLM portal, and the PLM portal does actually cover electronic application forms and e-submissions, or will indeed, for CAPS as well as NAPS. The reason for that indeed is also the remit, or in this case, for instance, electronic application forms for variations are actually standardized for CAPS and NAPS. So hence, indeed, that is that will be together. But indeed, then after during the actual procedure itself, you'll be in touch with EMA via the Iris platform. That is so. It will also, indeed, to be clear, indeed will not. I think that's a question that will come up as well. It will not replace the gateway as such either.
Maybe if I can just add on what you have said. There is a small remit around nationally approved products and MRP and DCP, where they are submitted as part of a procedure managed by the EMA. So these are few examples are work sharings with centrally approved products, variations work sharing. And nationally approved products, the PSUR single assessment, which can include CAPS, NAPS, or NAPS only. Some referrals, some passes, but that's pretty much it. So it goes around the workload of EMA and the remit of procedures evaluated at the EMA. Thank you.
No, that's an important specification indeed, but need to be clear that it is not. It will not indeed cover all the NAPS. Okay, I'm just going to mark that as answered for now to move on to the next question. And that is a very practical one, is that whether the contact receives an email that the status has changed in Iris.
I'm replying that also in writing, so I'm trying my best to reply also in writing at the same time. However, yes, so this is a requirement we are taking into consideration. We have to acknowledge there is a great visibility on the portal. Timelines of implementation are subject to prioritization, but indeed this is something we are considering and will be available eventually. Thank you.
See, then indeed, what about MRPs and DCPs, so mutual recognition procedures and decentralized procedures? Will they also be transitioned? If yes, when? I think we've already provided a bit of an answer to that, but perhaps there's something to add, Madalena?
Oh, I think we've been exhaustive there.
Yeah. So indeed, NAPS procedures, aside from the exceptions that Madalena mentioned, indeed, or indeed had the NAPS related content indeed will not be transitioned, or at least will not be on Iris, and there's no plans to do that. Then, is the web-based electronic application form part of this transfer of regulatory procedures to Iris, or is this a separate project? It is a separate project. As mentioned, EMA has had the product lifecycle management portal, indeed, where the web-based electronic application form sits, and we have the so that's indeed for the creation of the form, the gateway then for the submission of the package, and indeed Iris indeed have for the exchange and work on the actual procedure itself. So those are indeed separate teams. They are part of the same value stream, the product lifecycle management value stream. So there's parallel work going on those, and the teams do talk to each other. Anything you'd like to add about the interaction with EAF, Madalena?
Yeah, you've been very clear. Thank you.
Then a question from Ronak. Will there be notifications sent out to contact email address for each communication available in the Iris portal, or contact person needs to go in the portal to see whether there's any notification? So that's a variation, I think, of the question we had before, but perhaps
yes, but yes, it's a little bit more targeted. I would like Sarah, if you want to address this one.
Yes. So yes, we will have every time we will communicate a document to industry. So when we share, for example, our assessment reports, or we will share our the opinion, you will receive an email with a general notification telling you there are new documents or new information for your attention. You also receive for more complex variations. You also receive at the time when the validation is either positive or negative. So at the outcome of the validation, you will also receive a notification for that.
Yeah. And Sarah, in the team's view, indeed, can the contact indeed essentially rely on emails, or is it advisable that they go into the portal from time to time as well?
Yes, of course. That's also why we are exposing the information to you in the portal. Our aim is also for you to, be or consult the industry portal on a day-to-day basis, so you can see the information which is updated constantly. You always have updated information on your status. Besides these emails, which will essentially be sent to you once we have new documents. So for any status change or even to consult your timetables, which also we are updating constantly, you will have to go to the portal, and the aim is for you to go there and look for the information.
Thank you. Okay. Then another question took over the lead position, and that's the question: does this affect the linguistic review process in any way?
Maybe I can take this one. The linguistic review process itself stays outside Iris. However, the company will have available a translation timetable in the portal. And as well, when the translations need to be submitted at EMA, they can be submitted in the portal directly, so no need for UDRLing.
Okay, so doing the process is going to be a little bit more convenient, but the actual process itself is not it's not going to be affected.
No, it's not. It's only changed for enabling a more secure and easy submission, basically via the portal. But that's because we are transitioning, so that's part of the whole setup. Thank you.
Yeah. When the transition will be completed for CAPS with mandatory use of Iris? So that's a question indeed about the timeline of essentially indeed when the current procedure or current way of working will no longer be available.
I just need to include a clarification here. use of Iris would be mandatory for the selected product. So there would be no option to do it otherwise or differently. However, we will have a full transition and a full way of working for all of us in Iris, on all the stakeholders involved. Once we are ready with developing all the procedures to enable the full life cycle for all, even the most complex products. So a timeline, it's difficult now. Of course, we'll have to include on the way new fee regulation requirements and new pharma legislation. So it's a little bit difficult to predict. However, we aim to have a quicker rather than a longer transition. That's the aim. So of course, minding the disclaimers I just made.
Yeah, clear. Thank you. Then we have somebody confessing to joining slightly late and is indeed wondering what this transition to Iris will mean. Will this mean submission of variations will be via the Iris platform rather than the current EMA submission gateway platform? I think that came up before, and I think I want to say no, that we're not replacing the gateway in any. So then, will Iris replace PLM for all procedure types? Initial message was that Iris will be the platform for human CAP, and PLM will be used for CAP and NAP, the EAF. If both platforms remain, how is the overall submission process? Maybe to give this a start before Indeed maybe handing over to you, Madalena. So Iris will not replace the PLM portal. So these two portals are currently indeed planned to exist in parallel. Iris is indeed for procedures with EMA, and we talked about earlier in this Q&A indeed about how that is for CAPS and not just human. And how indeed how with certain inclusions of NAP relevant aspects. The PLM portal indeed is for data submission. So that is indeed where you will be able to create electronic application forms. That is where you will be asked to submit electronic product information, where you will also be able to interact with your PMS data. So the two portals have different functions, and due to their functions, indeed the PLM portal does in certain cases indeed also cover NAPs, whereas indeed Iris indeed is for those EMA specific procedures. Madalena, anything you'd like to add to that or correct indeed before I lie to people? Let's see now, certain things are, other questions are overtaking them. So I think we've now got a new top question. Will there be an option to download all communications between marketing authorization holders and EMA from Iris, including dates of communications? Marketing authorization holders normally need to retain their own copies of all correspondence for future reference, including audits and inspections. Will the system be able to do that, Madalena?
I think there's a small misunderstanding here. The contacts will still receive as of today the notification, the email notifications they receive.
Mm-hmm.
They are just done via the portal. Maybe it's not visible to the end user, but many of today's communications are rather manual, so we are automating that. So for the end user, the format of the notification will change. Maybe the text wouldn't be in the same format we have it today, so the information wouldn't be exactly the same. However, at relevant milestones and whenever you receive a document in the portal, an email will be sent.
Okay. Then, will those communication and information from Iris portal be visible to anyone within the marketing authorization holder of that product, having Iris access or only to the contact person for that particular product? So this is indeed about roles.
Mona, do you want to explain here?
Yes, I can explain. As yeah, I indicated, there are several roles which we can assign, and I just demonstrated one of the manager role. But also keep in mind in the documents and guidance documents that I refer, you can find it on the IRIS public website. There is a IRIS contributor. There is another role for IRIS coordinator, industry coordinator. So those persons, as much as you assign, they can view the case, they can follow the status of the case. What will be only the portal contact? This is what we would like to have, a single portal contact to whom we are sending the communication with clear name and email, individual email address, that we are aware to whom the information and notifications were sent. So yeah, only, but already there are some things that IRIS can suggest for you as well, that you can set up a different forwarding rules within your systems as well, if you would like that this portal contact communication will be distributed to along other colleagues, etc. So yeah, so there are different roles you can assign within your organization with different tasks that they can do within the case, but to view the task they all can do. I hope it answers the question. Thank you.
Okay. Then, so the related question, I think, Anita, is will it be allowed to have more than one marketing authorization holder contact to have access to IRIS, as only one person would be dangerous in case of any absence, etc. Is there anything that you'd like to add to your previous answer, maybe? That
No, this is what, yeah, exactly. I demonstrated that in case
Yep.
there is another role as also industry coordinator who can assign different kind of managers as well. That, yeah, that there is no one person only working within the case, and in case of his absence, nobody knows what is going on. So yeah, for that reason, it's advisable to have more managers assigned to the case, that you can distribute the responsibilities among yourself within the organization. Yeah.
Then, will EMA stop using, oh, that just popped down. I'm going to continue anyway. Will EMA stop using UDRLink in the future? So indeed, just to be, maybe to keep that short, indeed, the intention is to stop UDRLink eventually. But indeed, at the moment, indeed, just to re-emphasize that during this initial rollout, indeed, only for those, that subset of products will use of IRIS indeed be mandatory. So what IRIS roles must the marketing authorization contact have? Is it required to have the role before she can become case manager? So I do think, so maybe, Simona, maybe one thing that we will say is that one of the things that we will do is obviously clarify this, and a lot of the IRIS-based role information is available on the IRIS portal, but this is something that we will also update. So this will be available indeed also to the people in this call in structured instructions and guidelines, just to, so indeed, this is not the one and only place that you will be getting these answers. But, sorry, back to you, Simona.
No, this is, yeah, it's exactly what I wanted to say. Thank you, Yuri.
What happened with IRIS forums? They are down for more than 9 months, and industry has lost sight of their questions and knowledge sharing data. Indeed, the IRIS forums are currently offline. So this is so the forums are a feature of the portal, and we know that they're used for correspondence. We are looking at how and in what way we will bring the IRIS forums back live. Indeed, if you do have indeed bugs and specific questions, please, in that sense, you need to approach the service desk for the moment. That's I'm afraid indeed what I think about the most I can say about the forums. But this does also have our attention, and we're looking at whether we can bring them back. So I appreciate indeed that there is indeed the acknowledgement that this is a valuable resource from your side. Let's see, is XEVMPD data submission as it appeared on slide 6? And I think that's the slide with all the different all the different bubbles. As the current channel for QPPV changes, any other reason? What is the target operating model? So here, indeed, with this team, they're obviously interacting with the team, working in this case on the product management services. However, indeed, the detailed roadmap for XEVMPD, we can't give you here. What I can recommend is indeed to look at the resources that we have online regarding product management services and the developments around XEVMPD in that regard. So indeed, SPOR and PMS and indeed the XEVMPD database. And the upcoming system demo next week on the 21st, where the PMS team will also be. So just to be clear, indeed, we do have a record of this question, Elizabeth. So we'll also make sure to pass that on to our colleagues. However, indeed, that's I'm afraid you're going to get a fairly high level answer from us today. Let's see. Is not clear for submission what steps will be done in PLM portal and what in Iris for a CAP product. How is it linked?
I can maybe take this one. Unless you can complement me, Joris, of course. In the PLM portal, the user will write and generate an electronic application form based on data from SPOR. Then this electronic application form will be downloaded and submitted in an ECTD sequence as per today's process. So the submission process doesn't change. The gateway has its role and will stay for the moment. Thereafter, the EMA will receive a successful submission, so technically validated, and will create a case in Iris. From this moment on, the product contact, which is on section 243 of the EAF in terms of contact of initial marketing authorization, this contact, which is always, as you know, we have one contact per product, will be the contact for the submission as default in Iris. It will be a manager, and they will have the option to set other managers, contributors, and of course, as explained by Simona, all managers can change the contact of the case. So we only are including Iris after submission, successful submission and receipt of an ECTD sequence for a case for lifecycle procedures. And from there on, we will manage the case together. However, whatever submission requires an ECTD, that has to be taken via the gateway. So we are replacing case management in Udra mainly in collaboration with the industry. I hope this clarifies a bit. Thank you.
Yep. Thank you. Then back to Iris roles. Which Iris roles should the marketing authorization contact person have as part of user access management?
I think this is what just Madalina mentioned, that automatically the product contact for post authorization procedures will become a manager, case manager, and a portal contact by default. And then, as I already indicated, all the roles and the access rights are described in the guidance document. Thank you.
Then, will there be corresponding training for NCAs only? When and where will it be announced? So here, indeed, yes, there will absolutely also be NCA and NCA specific training. We expect to announce that within the next 2 weeks, so before the end of the month. And there will indeed be a training, and this will be a couple of hours indeed before we release. So indeed, stay tuned. But yes, there will absolutely be NCA training. Let's see. Will Iris replace the PSUR repository, or will PSUR repository be part of Iris?
This is a very good question. Currently, no. So the PSUR repository is staying as PSUR repository. We'll have more clarity about the future of the PSUR repository once we develop PSURs in Iris and understand the links of PSUR repository with other systems. But for the moment, no. The submission, and because PSUR repository itself, it's also a submission means, so that we don't change at the moment. Thank you.
Let's see, will the default marketing authorization holder contact and the user stated in the electronic application form be case manager, or one of them if different? At EMA, we can by default have two contact persons, primary and secondary will both be informed.
Just yeah, to add that, as I already mentioned, we only will have the one contact person and one email address with whom we communicate. But as it was shown, the system allows you to manage it independently on your side and to change the contact portal and his email address. But yeah, you will get this power to change the portal contact from your side as much as you wish. But only one, which is on the SPOR as under the product information as a person authorized for post authorization procedures, will become by default the portal contact and case manager. Thank you.
Thank you, Silvana. By when will the new approach be mandatory for all centrally authorized?
We touched already a bit on this topic. So managing all the centrally authorized products in Iris would require developing all the procedures related, or all possible procedures related to the product lifecycle. Currently, we are in the stage where we developed around 10 of them, but they come under the umbrella of variations, marketing authorization transfers, and Article 61.3 notification. As mentioned, this will allow around 100 products to be onboarded yet. So once we finalize the development of all procedures, this is when all the centralized, centrally approved products will be managed in Iris. Our milestones are rather tight, so we would like a quicker rather than longer transition. However, we have some major steps along our way, which are the new fee regulation legislation implementation and the new pharma legislation. So ideally, in a couple of years, we would aim for this, but we can't for sure state that's going to happen this way.
Yep.
So just to give a bit of feeling about the time, so we don't want to do this in 5 years. We would love to do it in, let's say, 2-3 years. So that would be something which would be reasonable as a transition.
Yeah, no, indeed, the direction of travel is very, very clear, and indeed we don't have the crystal ball indeed for all the developments in the future. Let's see. An issue at the moment with procedures via Iris is that you do not get a notification if anything has changed. This must really be improved and ensure notification at any change. That's a comment. So thank you indeed for letting us know. I don't know if the team has any particular question to maybe specify this comment so that we can take it on board, or whether it's clear as it is. But otherwise, indeed, I'll just mark it as checked, and we'll move on to a question. Okay.
I see Sarah. Do you want to add something?
Is there anything that you'd like to comment on this?
Yeah, just as said before, so for every milestone, you will receive an email notification. So any validation issues, outcome of validation, RSI outcomes, you will receive a notification, so you will be informed.
Yeah, thank you. Let's see, marketing authorizations having only NAPs won't need to work with IRIS for PSUSA procedures. Did I get that right? They don't need to register and have a user.
No, actually, if we talk about PSUSA, this will come in the next topic, so in the next year. However, if since PSUSAs are managed at EMA, for this type of procedure, the marketing authorization holders of nationally authorized products will have to work together with us, and for this reason, they will need to have a role in IRIS.
Yeah. So indeed, to clarify, perhaps I indeed misspoke on one of the first questions. So indeed, a better indicator indeed is whether it's a procedure you're managing with EMA rather than whether it's CAPS versus NAPS. Let's see, on document exchange via IRIS, can an email address be defined which will be informed about updates, or do you have to check the portal regularly? I think we've, unless indeed anybody wants to cut in, I do believe that we've given an answer to this question in different ways. So indeed, there are regular emailed updates, and in a lot of cases, it is advisable, and indeed also to check the portal, because there's a lot there that also helps you with the with your procedure. But Sarah, I don't know if there's anything that you'd like to add.
Not really. I think we've been very clear with that type of question. Thank you, guys.
How long will the documents from EMA stay available? At the moment, once a case is closed, you can no longer get back to those documents. So what will be the retention and availability to the, indeed, I'm assuming to the marketing authorization holder. Is there?
If I may add, the documents shared, so this question is not really clear, but at least not to me. The documents we share with the industry should remain in the portal there, so it should be available. They should be available for you, and the final ones will. So after the case closure, they have the status of record, so they of course cannot be changed, but they should be available for download. That's going to be the process. Okay.
Okay. So to the person asking the question, indeed, if we're somehow indeed misinterpreting your question or there's a specification, please let us know. But indeed, then of course the question for every presentation: will the presentation be made available? I'm assuming that you're talking about this presentation rather than just because it says plural. Yes, we will make the presentation available, and perhaps you joined a little later, but we actually are recording this session, and that recording will also be available on the EMA website. Then, is there an API? This all looks very manual. EMA's digitalization never includes the industry. We manage the same processes, same dates and data in our RIM systems, and then we transfer information back and forth by typing.
This is a bit of a technical question. We do have APIs for IRIS. Perhaps we do need to open this discussion to make them available for certain use by industry. We are sorry you feel that way, but as Sarah explained, we are trying to improve this. What we also will have available is a way to download the data on the case, or like a self-service, but this is on a longer term, where you could potentially download your case details, your outcomes and so on. But we keep this question on the APIs, and we'll come back with an answer or a plan, at least on a longer run. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's see, for the first rollout, selected products, is it mandatory to notify the Iris platform also of a withdrawal of a marketing authorization?
No. Well, it depends what we are talking about. If we talk a withdrawal of a product of a marketing authorization, that goes via the European Commission, and Emma will, of course, update the database. We are mainly talking about withdrawal of the case. It's case management only at this moment, just to clarify.
Okay. Will validation issues be resolved by Iris?
Only if they include documents which are not submitted by ECTT. So the communication and sharing of documents we currently share via UDRA-link will take place via Iris. However, if as part of a validation you're required to submit an ECTD sequence, let's say a corrected electronic application form or additional dossier documents, you would need to provide an ECTD sequence, and you will be updated of the outcome of this validation via the Iris portal. And notifications, because those stay. So what the Iris portal provides extra is more visibility on the case. So you will see the timetable for yourself. Well, the status when the procedure is. These are functionalities which are not available today. So the idea is to provide additional information on top of what you have today.
No, indeed. Thank you, Madalena. Let's see, then, in Iris, the marketing authorization holder contact becomes the case manager, but can change the contact and add users. Is the intention that only one single contact can be allocated, or are multiple users possible for the case added by the marketing authorization case manager? Indeed, so maybe indeed just to restate that I think we're getting a lot of questions indeed on the contact. So indeed, unless Sarah, indeed, there's something you want to answer, I think I will. I'll just restate indeed the commitment that we will have, that will ensure that there'll be adequate indeed guidance and instructions, and also an FAQ on the different Iris roles and role management. Unless Sarah, there's something maybe you want to add specifically here? Or?
No, it's clearly just to reiterate. Yeah.
Sorry. Let's see. How does the EMA Iris system handle data privacy and security concerns?
So just maybe to reiterate what it's regards to the documents, we apply the same guidance as we used it now. Yeah. What requires for the security, what to the access, this is, yeah, that's why we would like to have only one portal contact with whom EMA communicates. It allows to handle the other roles within your organization, and yeah, this is it.
Indeed, perhaps also to just looking at the questions, indeed states that indeed how you have the Iris system as indeed our system indeed have for case management in this case is an overall improvement on our current process. Yeah, and so generally the safeguards indeed for privacy and security from a system perspective that will be improved, and that the what I understand indeed, Simone, is that we're not changing anything about our data privacy or security protocols from how they would otherwise be handled today.
No, indeed.
Yeah. Let's see. Is my understanding correct that and Iris will send notifications to Market Authorization Procedure Manager when update occurs by EMA Procedure Management and any documents are uploaded. I believe currently this is not the case. So I think we're talking to somebody that has some experience with Iris, perhaps with other procedures. So perhaps there's something to say about whether the nature or frequency or types of notifications compared to maybe some of the existing the procedures already live on Iris, whether that'll be any different.
It could be different because the procedures which are currently in Iris are quite different from the life cycle management procedures. However, just to correct, the MAC procedure manager, so the manager will only receive a notification if they are contacts. Otherwise, they will see the case, but they wouldn't be notified via email. So this is what Simona explained. You need to have a manager role with a contact assigned to receive these notifications.
Let's see, concerning adding documents via Iris portal on ECTD lifecycle, which kind of documents can be submitted via Iris only?
If I may, so this is what was explained by Madalina, what it is outside the official document list that needs to be submitted through the gateway as or via ECTD. Yeah. The rest, whatever you are now submitting via UDRA link, so then Iris portal will replace those types of the documents.
Yeah. Well, we'll certainly also be adding this to our FAQ, I think, indeed, between PLM gateway, ECTD lifecycle, and the Iris portal. Let's see. Portal contact can be changed only by the current one, meaning if the person suddenly goes on sick leave, how should be updated later on?
Just maybe to add, portal contact can be changed by the manager and also by the person who is authorized to see all the submissions for the company. So it's not only by the current portal contact, but also by the other roles which are assigned to the case. So yeah, and this is just also to remind those steps and those processes are described in the guidance document. And I think, yeah, Joris, this is very important that we put those questions and answers in our Q&A.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Then a question about the UAT in October. Is the UAT in October open to more industry companies, SMEs, how to register for it? So this is indeed a question about people other than indeed the current industry SMEs that we have as part of the product team, whether anybody else, whether it's open to anyone else.
For the time being, for this product that we are working on, we had a procedure to gather the SMEs through the industry representative organizations. And for the time being, for this, it's only open for those SMEs as selected SMEs. And I believe you are also briefed on the current ongoing developments, because we are having a bi-weekly meetings with them where we inform on and gather their requirements as well. That yeah, I believe you are also informed by the industry associations you belong.
Yeah. And here maybe also to just plug a little bit of more information or reassurance about the approach here. Many of you, but perhaps indeed not everyone indeed, are aware that EMA is indeed transitioning to the skilled agile framework. So in a lot more agile way, where indeed the intent is to have much more frequent releases. Again, in November will be the initial release. The UAT in this case indeed is very much indeed to test, and not so much indeed to perhaps provide a sneak peek. And indeed anyone that's not in the UAT will indeed see the system soon enough as it becomes relevant for them. And indeed, if there are then findings or things that you run into, these are things that you can then feed back to the product team, and are then added to the backlog to be addressed. So I'm aware that in the past, indeed, the UATs were always indeed an event to really get to test but also there was an interest to indeed see what the system would be like. And just indeed also to say that with our current approach, there'll be a lot more opportunity to do that as we keep on indeed moving in products, transitioning in products and transitioning in procedures. Let's see, then some scoring going up and down. Let's see, we had automatic notifications are of poor quality, especially for inspections. It's impossible to relate to IRIS submission number. We need better notification communication. Answer, given downloading communication is not satisfying for audits. Okay, that's a clear comment, and we will take it on board. Let's see, if the current plan transition is very successful for these procedures in the next 5 years, is the scope expansion for submission process through ECD transitioning also possible? Madalina, do you want to put on your future goggles?
That's very difficult for me, but I think we have their dependency on ECTD 4, right? So that's something we are facing this challenge that everything is changing at the same time. So provided we have an implementation for ECTD 4 ready, could be something we are going to also address. There are some discussions currently considering possibility to have ECTD in IRIS, but we have a lot of challenges due to technical complexity of all this ECTD sequence and the validation rules and everything what needs to have this dossier in place per ECTD rule. So long story short, we are thinking about it. We are looking, we're starting to look into it, but we have also dependency on ECTD for implementation. So we don't know basically, and as of now.
No, indeed, as of now, but perhaps you need to add that indeed the EMA is aware of indeed some of the aspects of the overall user experience of the different portals and systems. So these are one consideration among indeed quite a few, but indeed there's, as we fully understand indeed where these types of questions are coming from. And indeed, I hope indeed the other way around, indeed there's also some understanding that we indeed, as Madalina said, are not able to indeed pick up all these things at the same time. But again, I think that indeed our ambition in terms of usability is indeed, I think matches industries, if perhaps not necessarily the speed and the time frame that perhaps some of the audience have in mind or would want. So related to that, why are there different portals for EF creation, ECTD submission, and submission management? Can these not be merged into one portal to simplify the process? Again, we are looking at ways indeed to simplify the process and the user experience in this regard. At the moment, indeed, there are reasons indeed to have these different portals separate. They all have their own needs, their own protocols. Again, one clear distinction again is that for the PLM portal, that it's common across CAPS and NAPS, and something like IRIS indeed is specifically for procedures managed with EMA. So there's a few very good reasons indeed to keep them separate at the moment. And within that context also to look at, okay, what are things that we can do to make the experience between these different portals a little bit more seamless. So these are all things that we are very much looking at. However, for indeed at the moment, indeed it is the PLM portal for EF creation, then the ECTD submission, and the case management via IRIS. Madeleine, anything you'd like to add to that as product owner?
No, thank you. You have been very clear, Joris. Thank you.
How will the group variations and transfers managed on Iris?
I think this relates to one question below. So I assume it's about work sharing and combining more products in one procedures. And of course, it would be challenging to have one product managed in Iris and one in our current management system. So that's one of our exclusion criteria. That's why we want to confirm with industry. We cannot, there is no way to have one product managed in or two products managed in different databases. So we would only select products which will be fully managed, including the work sharings in Iris. So that's one of the conditions.
Okay. Okay, I am looking at the clock and seeing that I've been completely remiss in my duties as time manager. We, in an effort to indeed answer as many of your questions as possible. Again, the session is recorded. We will indeed also look at, okay, the answers to the questions, what we can do with them. We will certainly take a lot of them on board in future Q&A documents. And this has also been extremely helpful to us to indeed give an indication of what are the types of information that we can help you with. So we very much appreciate the questions, and I hope that the answers have been helpful to you as well. What you can see up on the screen is the poll. This is also via Slido, so we would like to ask everyone kind of as they part to indeed score this webinar. How likely would you recommend this to a peer in terms of how useful it may be to them? Madalena, is there anything you would like to add in overtime?
I would like to spend a few seconds of your time just to thank you for this interest. It's great feedback for us, and we are really happy you are interested. Looking forward to further interactions and similar sessions to be able to give you as much information as needed and have your feedback at the same time. Thank you very much. Have a nice day.